Wait till you see it. See what? What a Terran will do to another sentient being. Lanark Talon Historical Drama, 1438 Post, C3. Shrocker knelt down in the brush, holding his rifle tight, his lungs aching from exertion, his muscles trembling, his injuries burning. His last 3 remaining squad mates quickly joining him. Rakjal covered his mouth with one hand, so his breathing wasn't as loud as it would be otherwise, as he panted to try to bring in enough oxygen to satisfy his brain. Nurpakch bowed over his laser rifle, one hand on the back of his own hand, making a low keening noise of terror and misery. Avericol let his rifle fall onto the ground as he covered his 4 eyes with his hands, as if not being able to see would change things. "Do you think it's still out there?" Rakjal asked through his hand.
Shrake ur just noded.
"This is bad, this is bad, this is bad," Nurpakch moaned, rocking back and forth. "Maybe we can make it to the dropship? Loop back around maybe," Avericol said, still covering his eyes. He leaned forward, almost touching his high forehead to the dirt. "Something. Anything. There has to be something we can do. Some way we can escape. Maybe even beat that thing." Shrokyuar fumbled with his weapon, unhooking the clip and sliding the tubular battery out. He checked it real quick. Almost depleted. He dropped it on the ground, got one of the few he had left in his harness out, and slid it into place. The mud and grime on his hands stuck to the battery, making it grind as it slid into place and locked. "Beat it how?" Rakjal asked. "You saw what it did to everything else." The Nurkreft soldier moaned and covered his mouth again to quiet his noises of distress. "I just want to go home," Nurpakch said, still rocking back and forth, still bent over his weapon. "This is wrong. This is all wrong. I don't know what to do," Shrokyuar admitted. He turned to Nurpakch. "You're an officer. You have to know what to do." The Nurkreft shook his head. Nothing ever covered an indestructible killing machine. "But it's not a machine. It bleeds. You saw the others when the scientists and doctors were dissecting them. It's a living creature, it isn't a machine," Avericol said, uncovering his lower 2 eyes. He reached down and touched his dropped rifle. "Maybe if we all shoot at it at once?" "Yeah, that worked great before," Shrokyuar said. "Really impressed it. Why is it doing this?" Avericol asked, his voice a high-pitched whine of self-pity. "Because it can," Shrokyuar said. "Just like all of us have done to those weaker than us in the name of the Dominion. That's different. We were following orders from Dominion High Command," Rakjal whimpered. "It isn't fair. We didn't do anything to that creature." Avericol wiped off his weapon, smearing the mud around that had gotten on the weapon when he'd dropped it while they were running. The optics were smashed, useless, and the strap was thick with mud and dirt. "It's enjoying it," Nurpakch said. He gave another low, keening moan of despair. "It was laughing at us while it was killing us. It isn't fair." Shrokyuar checked his weapon over. The laser rifle had a crack in the stock and in the forward grip, but the telltales all came back as green, like it would do any good. "We didn't do anything," Avericol said, covering his eyes. His pebbly skin changed color in splotches in his species version of weeping. "We didn't do anything. Why's it doing it?" Nurpakch said, sniffling, his fan-like ears pressed against his head. "Why?" "Because it can," Shrokyuar said. All 4 soldiers froze in place, hunkering down slightly from where they were hiding in the bushes as a long drawn-out wailing howl sounded out. It was not a sound of agony or of despair. It was a howl of a predator on the hunt, a howl that promised death or worse to the prey. "It's coming, we need to move again," Shrokyuar said. "Maybe if we hide we can avoid it," Avericol said softly, covering his eyes again while he wept. "It will find us and kill us just as it did everyone else," Shrokyuar said. He looked out of the bushes, then nodded. "We can make it. We'll run for it, loop around, head to the drop ship." "No, it'll catch us," Nurpatch said. "I'm with you," Avericol said. He shook his head as his skin cleared up. Shrokyuar peeked out again. "It looks clear." He took a breath. "Go!" Lunging forward, Shrokyuar didn't wait to see if the others were following, just took off running. He ran through the brush, through the ferns, shoving branches out of the way with his weapon. His armor clicked at the joints, the brush slapping against the hard plates of his armor. He could hear footsteps behind him, but didn't bother trying to count who was following. There was only 4 of them left, out of over 100 Dominion soldiers and 300 scientists. In mere hours. The branches suddenly stopped as the quartet stumbled into a clearing. Shrokyuar came to a stop, Avericol slamming into him and almost knocking him down. The other 2 bumped into Avericol. "Why did you stop?" Avericol asked.
Shrokyuar just started.
The other 3 moved out from behind him and stopped, stock still, staring at what was in the clearing. The creature. It had close-cut gold hair, less than a half-inch long, on the top and upper sides of its squarish head. The rain made it so the hair stood up on end and gleamed in the dim light that filtered through the clouds. It was bipedal, its legs jointed only at the hip, knee, and ankle, lacking a hock. Its thighs were as thick as Shrokyuar's waist and rippled with dense muscles. Its arms were jointed at the shoulders, elbows, wrists. Each arm ended in a 4-fingered hand with an opposable thumb, the fingers thick and the powerful tendons standing out on the back of the hands. Its torso was thick, heavy muscle, thick epidermis that was a pale peach color. Scars and tattoos were evident on the exposed skin. Its head had 2 ears, one on either side, that were much more effective and sensitive than they had any right to be. The mouth was at the bottom, lips hiding meat-tearing teeth in the front and crushing molars in the back, with muscles that could bite through macroplas. The nose was short, but effective, allowing the creature to track by scent. It was the eyes that were the worst, close-set, on either side of the bridge of the nose. Predator's eyes. Pale blue irises, white scara, protected by thick eyelashes and heavy eyelids. They were glowing softly in the dark, a dark, malevolent red. The creature was standing in the middle of the clearing, naked as it had been the entire time. In one hand it held a length of duralloy nearly as long as the creature was tall, as thick as Shrokyuar's clenched fist. The creature's fingers wrapped all the way around it, and the creature held the bar's weight with ease. "Howdy, boys," the creature said. Its words were translated by Shrokyuar's data implant, from the rough growling words almost too low for Shrokyuar to hear into proper chirps, clicks, and hisses. The creature extended the bar in front of it and began spinning it in midair somehow, the bar making a fluttering sound as it scattered raindrops. The creature had its legs spread shoulder-width apart, its left foot forward, knees bent, and one hand behind its back. Nurpatch started screaming as he lifted his rifle up and began shooting. The creature grabbed the bar in both hands, the impact of the spinning bar making a loud thwack as it met the open hand. The creature dodged 2 shots, parried 2 more with a duralloy bar, then ducked under the last 2. Nurpatch began making a high keening sound of terror as he backed up. The creature took 2 steps forward, spinning the bar in front of it again, the bar moving impossibly fast, just a blur. Screaming, Nurpatch took off running, dropping his rifle. Rakjal lifted his rifle and fired twice. The creature parried the laser blasts with the shining duralloy bar. The first one flashed out, hit the spinning, fluttering bar, and ricocheted, and hit Nurpatch in the back of the head. The officer's head exploded into rags of tissue and blue mist. The second shot hit the staff, rebounded, and hit Rakjal in the chest, knocking him down as the powerful laser bolt blew a hole in the duralloy laminate chest plate. "Run!" Ch.8 yelled. He took his own advice, turning and running, plunging into the underbrush. He ran in a panic, unheeding of the direction, just filled with a need to escape. He heard the other two following him. He could hear Rakjal panting, wheezing as he followed. "Don't run, you'll only die tired," the terrible creature yelled out. To Ch.8's ears it sounded like the creature was amused by the futile attempts to survive. He pushed through brush, crashed through ferns, stumbled over hidden roots, fallen branches, and rocks that jutted up from the thick loam. He lost his helmet when a branch hooked the chin strap. He pulled at the catch and the branch whipped away, snatching his helmet, but he didn't care, he just kept running. He didn't have his night vision visor now, but he blinked twice until the inner eyelid retracted and he could see infrared. He just kept running through the night that was now painted in blues with pale yellow streaks here and there. "Slow down," a Veracol panted. Ch.8 ducked into a clump of bushes surrounded by a thick pool of chest-high ferns. He knelt on one knee, panting heavily. A Veracol thrashed through the branches to drop to both knees, panting heavily, covering his mouth with his hands to try to muffle his panting. Rakjal thrashed into the bushes, crouching down, making whining noises. "Shut up," Ch.8 snapped, keeping his voice low. "It just kills. It just kills and kills and kills," Rakjal moaned. "It deflected lasers. How does something deflect laser bolts with a duralloy rod?" "Shut up." Ch.8 restrained the urge to club the other Dominion troop into unconsciousness. They had barely regained their breath when they heard a noise. All three of them went perfectly still, covering their mouths to muffle their breathing. The creature walked into the fern-filled clearing. The rain on its skin was evaporating, turning to steam that they could all see. Ch.8 could see its body temperature was high, even though it was cooling off rapidly. Its whole body was yellow. As he watched, its limbs cooled to orange, its core slowly following. Come out, wherever you are," the creature crooned softly, slowly moving around the clearing. It raised its head up, sniffing. "I can smell you. Vaporized armor laminate. Body oil. Blood. Your pheromones. Ionization from your weapons molluscs and batteries," it crooned. It cocked its head. "I can hear you. There's 3 of you, you're breathing heavy, can't get enough air." It faced away and began moving across the clearing to the far side. "Go away, go away, go away," a Veracol moaned. Before, it would just vanish into the darkness. But now, without his visor, Ch.8 realized the creature's body was so hot, wasn't insulated like everyone else's, that he could see it in the infrared. It was cooling, rapidly, but still hot. A third of the temperature of boiling water, 38 C easily. "Where is it?"
Rakjal moaned.
"Over by the 2 big trees." "It stopped," Ch.8 said. "I can't see it." "How can you see it?" Rakjal asked. "Infrared. It's visible in infrared." "It's hot, really hot," Ch.8 whispered. "I hear you," the creature said. Ch.8 watched it move slowly around the clearing, staying in the woodline, ghosting effortlessly from tree to tree. It was cooling off too fast, turning blue and black. Rakjal started whining. "You can't hide from me," the creature said softly. Ch.8 realized he had lost it as it had moved through a copse of trees. "I can't take it."
Rakjal screamed.
He lunged up, pulling away from when a Veracol tried to hold him back. He began struggling through the ferns, screaming in terror. Go, back the other way," Ch.8 whispered. A Veracol went first, moving as quiet as he could, with Shrokyuar following. Help! Help! Someone help! Please, someone help! Rakgel was screaming. I don't wanna die. Shrokyuar put the screams out of his mind, running as fast as he could. A branch grabbed his rifle sling and yanked him back, sending him crashing back into the bushes. A Veracol took 2 steps and suddenly stopped. He started shivering, shuddering, and his rifle fell from his hands and into the underbrush. Shrokyuar opened his mouth to ask a Veracol why he had stopped when he saw it. The bar was stuck into a Veracol's skull. The bar was yanked free, and a Veracol collapsed bonelessly. Help! Help! I don't want to die. Help!
Rakgel screamed.
Shrokyuar heard heavy, rapid footsteps run away. He got up and moved over to a Veracol. With a shock, he realized he could see the quickly fading footsteps of the terrible creature. They were cooling rapidly in the night air and from the rain, but he could still see them. It had a stride as wide as 2, maybe 3 of his own steps.
No. No.
Not me. I didn't do anything. It isn't fair.
Rakgel screamed.
Shrokyuar ran. Rakgel's screams came to a sudden end. Shrokyuar ran on. How did it come to this? He asked himself.